Pirates, criminals, a headmistress to rival Dolores Umbridge? Yes. Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf, where we talk about books. Today is my spoiler-free review for The Crimes of Rooker Flynn by A.R. Witham. Now, this is book 1 in the Locke Institute trilogy, and I was not expecting this to be as dark as it was, and while I say that, it's probably not the darkest thing I've ever read, but it definitely goes darker than its predecessor and the author's debut, which was The Legend of Black Jack, which is a standalone, both being portal fantasies. And this one, The Legend of Black Jack, was a nostalgic reminder to stories that I love, like The Never-Ending Story and The Page Master, for example. But this time around with The Crimes of Rooker Flynn, we follow one of the side characters from The Legend of Black Jack, being Rooker Flynn himself, the rebellious, charismatic, and lovable pirate that he is. First things first, I did receive the physical copy from the author in exchange for an honest review, but you all know I love audiobooks, so I went and purchased the audiobook myself to do an immersion read, which is also narrated by the author. Now, since this does follow a side character from The Legend of Black Jack, do you need to read The Legend of Black Jack in order to start this trilogy? No, I don't think you do. You can absolutely start this without having read The Legend of Black Jack. You might miss some of the references that are mentioned in The Crimes of Rooker Flynn that go back to The Legend of Black Jack and some of the characters, but it's not really impactful to the overarching story. You can read it without having read the debut. Now, with that being the case, the choice is ultimately yours. You can absolutely start with The Legend of Black Jack and then delve into The Crimes of Rooker Flynn, but if you just want to jump right into this trilogy, you absolutely can. So The Crimes of Rooker Flynn is the type of fast-paced adventure that will keep you guessing and leave you wanting more. It's filled with giant spiders, a rebellious, hot-tempered pirate, and there is a headmistress that could rival Dolores Umbridge in her attempt to crush Rooker's spirit. The story takes place in the magical world of Keymark, and with this being a portal fantasy, we do get some glimpse into our own world as well. However, those are brief. It is multi-POV as well, although the main character is Rooker Flynn. He finds himself at the Locke Institute, where it's home to the criminals of Keymark, and there's only 3 rules. Obey your betters, gather at sunrise, be inside by sundown. And the headmistress is the best kind of despisable villain and character that you could hope for in this type of story. Rivals Dolores Umbridge, like I had mentioned. It's so satisfying in a terrible way. Now, Rooker finds himself at this institute, but he also meets a familiar face, and they work together to try and find a way to outwit this headmistress and find a way to escape or die trying. Personally, I find there to be a magic in the way that A.R. Witham tells his stories. The Crime of Rooker Flynn is no exception to this. There's a entertaining, enigmatic, and albeit charming nature to his stories where he trims the fat where needed and yet completely invests you in characters that jump off the page, great pacing as a result, and entirely captivating circumstances. All of these things to me demonstrate a passion and skill for storytelling, knowing just where to cut certain scenes, what to show the reader, how to invest them in these characters and their entire arcs, all of it. That was the best part of it in combination with this storytelling style. That being said, the tone of this is different from The Legend of Black Jack. In a way, it's darker. While it's not the darkest thing I've read, it definitely has some heavier tones and themes as it delves into a bit of a psychological exploration of these characters and even some of the side characters. As a result, it's a portal fantasy with familiar elements to the genre, but it also blends in elements of horror and thriller, which, yeah, that suspense had me wanting to read more and more. Now, this is multi-POV as well, giving us an unseen view into the world of Keymark through Rooker's eyes. Previously, we had seen it through Jack's eyes, who was a foreigner to this world. And being able to see it through Rooker's eyes added a delightful charm, but insight into some of the unknowns that we had previously seen in the standalone. Now, Rooker's story is all at once heartbreaking, endearing, and maddening. And I think a lot of this just has to do with his character, his personality, if you will, and his backstory at the same time. As his past continues to influence his present relationships, his choices, it also ends up impacting the overarching plot with intrigue and a psychological exploration I wasn't anticipating going into this. We really get to see what makes Rooker tick, from the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is also true for the other main POV that we get, and I won't give more details than that because read the book, but we also get to see the psychological impacts that the Locke Institute has on this other character and its students. Subsequently, it delves into the hardships these characters face, the suspense of it all. Like I said, it makes you want to keep reading, and I think I ended up reading this in a matter of a few days because I just didn't want to put it down. So let's talk about some of those heavier themes, because it can be darker, it can be heavier, but it's not done in a way that will leave the reader emotionally drained, if that makes sense. There's still some fun adventure and escape and daring schemes that go on to help balance it out, and it's not all dreary, heavy, and depressing. Just as an example, some of the themes and topics that are explored in this include imprisonment, trauma, survival, manipulation, and desperation, while balancing it with action, scheming, the hope and intrigue and suspense, and the captivating cast of characters. There's a resourcefulness that comes in as well, which I also think helps make this a bit more lighthearted rather than outwardly depressing. And as this is a portal fantasy in a magical world, you'll find lots of magical creatures and beings, from anthropomorphic beings, giant venomous spiders, dwarves, trolls, and magic-wielding bounty hunters, as just to name a few. And like I said, I also listened to the audiobook to do an immersion read of this, and Witham, just, you can tell his passion for storytelling. He, to me, is the kind of guy at the bar who can tell a story and have everyone roaring with laughter. He can keep the party going, and that absolutely shows in this story, but funneled with such focus and tact that it becomes a story around the campfire. All in all, I had a blast with this. For me, the author is one of those go-to storytellers that you can rely on for a great time, a great story, a binge-worthy read with plenty of heart. I am fully invested. I am very excited to see what happens in the sequel, especially with where this one left off. And yes, I highly recommend checking out the author's writing if it sounds up your alley. I would love to know, have you read any of this author's writing? What did you think? Leave your comments down below. I would love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.